Imagine saving thousands of pounds for your first home, and then suddenly hearing that the rules you were relying on might be changing. Because right now, the Lifetime ISA, one of the most popular government schemes for first-time buyers, is under review, and there has been discussion about whether it could eventually be replaced in the future. And here's the part most people completely miss. If you're planning to buy your first home, the decision you make right now could affect how much help you get from the government. You've basically got two paths in front of you. You can continue using the Lifetime ISA under the current rules and benefits. Or you can wait and see what happens with the proposed changes and any potential new scheme that may come in the future. But here's the risk. Because waiting for something better that isn't guaranteed yet could actually leave you worse off, or delay your chance to get on the property ladder altogether. So in this video, I'm going to break down what is actually confirmed, what is only being discussed, and the one key decision every first-time buyer needs to think about right now before it's too late. Let's start with the part that makes the Lifetime ISA so powerful. The government can give you a 25% bonus on what you save. Put in £4,000, and you could get another £1,000 added. That's money you don't have to earn through overtime. You don't need to pick individual investments to benefit from the bonus. And you don't have to ask your parents for it. It's simply a government bonus for saving towards your first home. Now here's where it gets interesting. Imagine you do that not just once, but year after year. £1,000 a year in government bonus. Over 5 years, that's potentially £5,000 from the government alone, before you even factor in any interest or investment growth. And that's why this conversation matters right now. Because there is uncertainty about what the future version of this scheme will look like, but the current Lifetime ISA is still available today, and existing rules still apply. So, if you're eligible and you're thinking about buying your first home, doing nothing is still a decision. The question isn't simply, will the Lifetime ISA disappear? The better question is, if I can benefit from this system today, should I be using it while I still understand how it works? And that's where things get interesting. Now let's clear up the biggest confusion. You may have heard headlines suggesting the Lifetime ISA is going away. But that is not the same as saying your Lifetime ISA is suddenly being taken away. The important distinction is this. The government has proposed a new first-time buyer ISA, which could eventually replace the Lifetime ISA for new savers once introduced, while existing leaseholders are expected to continue under the current rules. And that does not mean you should panic and close your Lifetime ISA. And this is where headlines can become misleading. Because when people hear words like axed, replaced, or gone, the brain immediately thinks, I need to act now. That creates fear. And fear can make you make a financial decision before you actually understand what is happening. But there's another psychological trap on the other side. You might think, fine, I'll just wait. Maybe the next scheme will be even better. And that sounds sensible? Until you realize you could be giving up a benefit that is available under the current rules while waiting for something that isn't guaranteed to be better. So the real question isn't, is the Lifetime ISA dead? It's, if I'm planning to buy my first home, what should I do with the opportunity one have today? And that brings us to the mistake many first-time buyers could make without even realizing it. Here's the mistake I want you to avoid. Don't make a financial decision purely because you're afraid of missing out. If you already have a Lifetime ISA, don't suddenly close it simply because you saw a headline saying it's gone. First understand what the proposed changes actually mean for existing accounts. And if you're eligible but haven't opened one, don't automatically assume that waiting for a new scheme will make you better off. Because there's a simple psychological trap here. When something is uncertain, we tend to value the possible future benefit more than the real benefit available today. You start thinking, maybe the new scheme will be better. Maybe I'll get more help. Maybe I should just wait. But maybe isn't a financial plan. The smarter approach is to look at your own timeline. If you're hoping to buy within the next few years, the rules you can actually use today matter. And remember, a Lifetime ISA isn't just about getting a bonus. There are clear rules around access. Under current rules, you can withdraw your money without penalty if you use it to buy your first home, or after age 60, or in certain serious medical circumstances like terminal illness. If you withdraw for other reasons, you usually face a 25% charge, which can reduce what you get back. So this isn't just about free money, it's about whether the account fits your real-life plan. So before you do anything, ask yourself one question. Am I genuinely planning to buy my first home, or am I simply reacting to a headline? Because that answer could determine what your next move should be. And now we get to the one decision this entire video is really about. So here's the decision. If you're eligible for a lifetime ISA and are likely to use it for a qualifying first home purchase, should you use the current opportunity, or wait for whatever comes next? There isn't one answer for everyone. If you already have a lifetime ISA, don't panic. The proposed first-time buyer ISA would not simply wipe out your existing account. Existing LISA holders can continue under the current rules, and in many cases keep saving under those rules depending on how the final policy is implemented. The key is to look at your timeline, your savings, and whether the current structure still fits your plans. If you're eligible but haven't opened one, the decision becomes more interesting. Ask yourself, how likely is it that I will actually use this money for a qualifying first home purchase within my expected timeline? If the answer is yes, then the government bonus is a real benefit you can potentially use today. But if you're nowhere near buying, your plans are uncertain, or you may need the money for something else, rushing in simply because you're scared of missing out may not be sensible. And this is the key psychological point. Don't let fear make the decision for you. Fear says, act now or you'll lose everything. Greed says, wait because the next deal might be even better. The smarter move is somewhere in between. Understand what you have. Understand what is changing. Then make the decision based on your own home buying plan, not the headline. Because the biggest mistake isn't choosing the lifetime ISA. And it isn't choosing to wait. It's making a major financial decision without knowing what you're actually choosing. And there's one final thing you need to remember before you make that decision. So, let's bring this back to the decision that started everything. The lifetime ISA hasn't simply vanished overnight. There are proposed changes to the first-time buyer system, and a new first-time buyer ISA has been proposed. But that does not mean you should panic, close your account, or assume the next scheme will automatically be better. If you already have a lifetime ISA, understand the rules that apply to you. If you're eligible and considering opening one, think about your actual home buying plans. And most importantly, don't make a decision because of a scary headline. Because when it comes to your first home, small decisions can become big money decisions. That £1,000 government bonus, which comes from contributing up to £4,000 a year. Those years of saving. It all adds up. So before you decide to wait, act, switch, or do nothing, make sure you actually know what you could be giving up, and what you could gain. The property ladder is already difficult enough. You don't want your biggest financial decision being made by fear, confusion, or a headline you saw for 5 seconds. Because at the end of the day, this isn't really about an ISA. It's about how much harder, or easier, it becomes to get the keys to your first home. And the goal isn't to make the fastest decision. It's to make the decision you actually understand. If this video helped you understand what's really happening with the lifetime ISA, subscribe to the Wealth Code, because the biggest money mistakes aren't always the ones you notice, they're the ones you make without understanding the rules. And remember, understand money. Understand yourself.